They tried to bury you, but they didn't know you were a seed. They tried to silence you, but they didn't understand that your silence was only sharpening the voice of your destiny. The world forgot your name. And that's exactly what the universe wanted. Because the greatest stories never start in light. They begin in the dark, alone, unseen, ignored. While everyone else was chasing validation, you were learning the language of isolation, a sacred dialect only spoken by those chosen to rise beyond their circumstances. You were never meant to blend in. You were being refined in the fire, molded in the shadows, prepared for a purpose they'll never understand until it's too late. When people left you, when life betrayed you, when every door slammed shut in your face, that wasn't rejection. It was redirection. Every heartbreak was a hidden hand, guiding you away from the mediocre, towards something eternal. You were meant to feel misunderstood, because chosen souls are always misread by ordinary eyes. They'll label you strange, arrogant, or distant, not knowing that your silence was discipline, not weakness. Your distance was focus, not pride. You weren't ignoring them. You were tuning into something greater. You were being aligned with frequencies that small minds cannot hear. There was a time you begged for understanding, a time you pleaded to be seen, but now you realize invisibility was your superpower. While they mocked you, while they laughed at your dreams, while they whispered your name behind closed doors, you were evolving. You were building the foundation of something divine, something unstoppable. You were learning patience, endurance, emotional control, the unteachable skills that only the dark can give. Because true power isn't built in comfort. It's built in isolation. It's forged in nights when no one checks on you. It's born from the tears that no one sees, the prayers that no one hears, the pain that no one understands. You've walked through hell, but not to burn. You walked through hell to learn how to build fireproof faith. Every betrayal, every disappointment, every delay, they were never punishments. They were preparation. You were being stripped of attachments so that when you finally rise, no one can claim credit but God. Because chosen ones aren't built by applause. They're built by absence. You've been trained in silence for a moment that's about to echo across generations. You may not feel ready, but destiny rarely waits for your comfort. It only waits for your obedience. The truth is, you were hidden for a reason. You weren't forgotten. You were being protected. While you thought life was falling apart, it was secretly falling into place. Every no that broke your heart was a divine not yet. Every delay was divine timing. Every setback was sacred direction. You were never late. You were being aligned. That's why you felt out of place your entire life. You've always seen things others don't. You've always felt deeper, dreamed bigger, and suffered harder. Because you were never meant for average. You carry ancient energy, the kind that disrupts bloodlines and breaks generational curses. That's why you've been under attack since birth. That's why pain found you so early. It wasn't a curse, it was a calling. When you were crying, the universe was watching. When you were breaking, the divine was recording. Every time you were betrayed, it was noted. Every time you were rejected, it was written. You thought no one saw your pain, but heaven did. And now, it's payback season. Not revenge in flesh, but restoration in spirit. The tables are turning quietly. The same ones who doubted you will witness your elevation. Not because you seek validation, but because your rise is proof that divine timing is undefeated. You'll glow differently because you've healed differently. You'll walk differently because you've survived differently. You'll speak differently because your pain gave birth to wisdom that no classroom could teach. The ones who laughed at your dreams will soon ask how you did it. The same voices that mocked your silence will hear your roar. You were never the underdog. You were the blueprint. You were never weak. You were being rewritten. You are not the victim of your story. You are the plot twist they never saw coming. Every delay was divine protection. Every heartbreak was divine redirection. Every lonely night was a sacred initiation into greatness. You were not being punished. You were being promoted in private. Let them doubt. Let them mock. Let them think you've fallen off. Because the most dangerous human on earth is the one who has mastered stillness after chaos. The one who no longer reacts, but observes. The one who can walk through storms and still whisper, "I'm chosen." You've reached that level now. The point where pain no longer breaks you. It builds you. You don't chase anymore because what's meant for you can't miss you. You've detached from outcomes, and that's where your power lies. You've stopped explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You've stopped proving your worth to those blind to your value. You've entered your becoming, the silent evolution that no one can interrupt. They won't see it coming. They'll wake up one day and realize the person they dismissed became everything they prayed to become. You'll shine without shouting. You'll succeed without showing off. You'll win without warning. Because your energy is no longer seeking attention. It's commanding alignment. You've stepped into your divine flow, where everything meant for you begins to magnetize naturally. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg, you command. You no longer explain, you embody. That's what being chosen means. You were never meant to compete. You were meant to create. You were never meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to inspire, to disrupt. So when people ghost you, when opportunities slip away, when doors close, smile. Because that's how divine alignment works. It subtracts before it multiplies. It empties before it overflows. You had to lose everything that wasn't you to remember who you are. And who you are is chosen. Chosen to break patterns. Chosen to rise from ashes. Chosen to heal wounds you didn't cause. Chosen to turn pain into purpose and silence into strength. You are not behind. You are precisely where destiny placed you. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. And when the time comes, when your light finally breaks through the darkness that once tried to drown you, they will all say the same thing. I always knew they'd make it. But you'll smile because you'll know the truth. They didn't believe, they just watched. They didn't help, they just waited. But that's how divine stories unfold. You had to walk alone so that everyone would know who carried you. There comes a point in every chosen one's life when silence becomes louder than any voice, when stillness becomes the storm, and when patience turns into the most dangerous weapon of all. That's where you are now. You've outgrown the noise, the need to prove, the hunger to be understood. You've learned that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful, because true power doesn't perform, it simply is. The universe has been watching you, testing you, tempering you like molten steel in divine fire. You are being broken open so light could enter the cracks, so wisdom could leak into your spirit, so empathy could be reborn from pain. Every scar on your heart is now a signature of survival, a mark that says, I've been through darkness, but I didn't become it. And that is where your power truly begins, in the rebirth that happens when pain no longer defines you, but refines you. You see, most people run from their pain. They bury it under distractions, chase quick highs, hide behind masks of confidence that crumble under truth. But not you. You sat with your pain. You faced it like an old enemy who eventually became your greatest teacher. You learned its language, understood its codes, and unlocked the messages it carried. Pain taught you patience. It taught you that not everything that leaves your life is a loss. It taught you that peace isn't found in avoidance, but in acceptance. And slowly, as you learned to sit still, you discovered that the very things that once broke you were actually building you into someone unshakable. You've realized that every unanswered prayer, every delay, every betrayal, every lonely night was the divine chiseling away everything that wasn't truly you. The pain wasn't punishment, it was purification. You had to be emptied of everything temporary so you could finally be filled with what's eternal. There's a sacred rhythm to your transformation, one that the ordinary will never understand. They see your detachment and think you've become cold, but they don't know you've become clear. They see your silence and think you've lost your voice, but they don't realize you're listening to higher frequencies now. You've stopped speaking to be heard. You speak to be aligned. You've stopped chasing love because now you embody it. You've stopped proving your worth because now you know it. The shift wasn't visible, but it was monumental. It happened in the quiet hours when you could have given up but didn't, when you could have lashed out but chose grace, when you could have collapsed but stood tall. That's what real power looks like, the kind that doesn't announce itself but changes everything it touches. The people who once looked down on you won't recognize you anymore, not because you've become someone else, but because you've become who you were always meant to be. The light in your eyes will unsettle them. The peace in your energy will confuse them. They'll try to find the old you, the one who tolerated disrespect, who sought validation, who settled for less. But that version is gone. That version served its purpose, carried its lessons, and then dissolved into evolution. You no longer live for applause, you live for alignment. You no longer crave recognition, you crave resonance. You've realized that success isn't about being seen. It's about being centered. It's about walking into rooms where your silence says more than your presence ever could. And soon, the world will begin to notice, not because you demanded attention, but because your energy will make noise that your words never could. The same people who overlooked you will start to feel your absence like a missing heartbeat. They'll remember the consistency you gave, the loyalty you carried, the purity they took for granted. They'll scroll through their memories, realizing that while they were chasing temporary excitement, you were quietly building eternal substance. And when your name begins to echo again, not in gossip, but in reverence, they'll wonder how you did it. But the truth is, you didn't do it for them. You did it through them, through every disappointment, through every moment of doubt, through every betrayal that forced you to remember your own worth. This is what divine revenge looks like. Not the destruction of others, but the resurrection of yourself. You don't get even. You evolve. You don't seek payback. You become the evidence that grace wins. You're about to step into seasons where everything you lost will return in higher form. Peace replacing chaos. Purpose replacing confusion. Abundance replacing scarcity. And yet, you won't even crave validation for it anymore because the reward isn't what you get. It's who you become. You've turned wounds into wisdom, tears into tenacity, silence into strategy. You've learned that being chosen isn't about superiority. It's about responsibility. It's about carrying light into places that have forgotten what hope feels like. And that's exactly what you've become. a living reminder that light can rise even after it's been buried in darkness. You are not who you used to be, and that's why life feels unfamiliar. You're no longer vibrating at the same frequency as your past. The places that once felt like home now feel heavy. The conversations that once entertained you now drain you. The people who once surrounded you now seem foreign. That's the cost of elevation, isolation. Because the higher you rise, the thinner the air becomes. But this solitude isn't punishment, it's protection. You're being positioned, not punished. You're being promoted, not excluded. You're being separated so you can lead. Not everyone can follow where you're going, and that's okay. Some connections were seasonal, some were situational, and some were simply there to trigger your transformation. You're no longer angry about it. You're grateful, because without them, you would have never met you. This next chapter of your life isn't about proving anything. It's about embodying everything you've learned. You'll start moving differently, speaking differently, even breathing differently. Because when you've walked through fire and survived, you stop fearing heat. You stop shrinking yourself to fit fragile spaces. You stop dimming your light to comfort those still hiding from their own shadows. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence, not arrogance, but awareness. You begin to understand that peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the mastery of self amidst chaos. You've mastered that art now. You've learned to respond, not react, to surrender, not struggle, to trust, not chase. You are no longer fighting for your place in the world. You finally remembered you were never meant to ask for permission to exist. And here's the secret. This new energy of yours will shift everything around you. Opportunities will start to chase you. People will sense something different in your aura, a calm certainty, a divine glow that can't be explained, but can be felt. Doors that were once closed will open effortlessly because you've stopped knocking with desperation and started walking with direction. You've stopped waiting for signs and started becoming one. You've entered the flow state of destiny, where everything that aligns with your frequency begins to magnetize naturally. Money, peace, purpose, love, they'll all find you not because you force them, but because you finally became the version of yourself that's ready to receive them. You are now a mirror for divine order. Your energy heals. Your presence teaches. Your silence corrects. You've become the kind of person who doesn't have to chase impact. Your existence itself is transformation. People will come into your orbit and leave changed, not because you preach, but because you embody what peace looks like after pain. You've become the sermon your scars were always trying to write. You've become the message your heartbreak was meant to deliver. You've become living proof that nothing truly meant for you can ever be lost. It can only be delayed until you're ready. And you are ready now, ready to rise, ready to lead, ready to live, not from fear, but from faith. So take a deep breath. Feel that. That's freedom. The past no longer owns you. The pain no longer defines you. You've turned your suffering into sacred strength. You've rewritten the narrative. You are no longer surviving, you are becoming. And soon, when people look into your eyes, they won't see the person who broke. They'll see the phoenix that emerged from the ashes. They'll see resilience clothed in serenity, wisdom wrapped in grace, power disguised as humility. They'll see what it means to be chosen, not to be better than others, but to remind others that they can rise too. This is your era of elevation. Stay grounded, stay silent, stay dangerous. Because real power moves quietly, and your silence, the same silence they mistook for defeat, will soon become the soundtrack of your victory. There's a strange calm that arrives right before everything changes. A silence that hums like distant thunder. A stillness that carries both peace and power. That's where you are now. The air feels heavier, time moves slower, and you can sense something shifting beneath the surface of your reality. You may not be able to explain it, but your spirit knows destiny is rearranging itself around you. The universe is aligning threads that once felt scattered, weaving together the lessons, losses, and late nights into something magnificent. It's not a coincidence that you've been feeling distant from your old life lately. You've outgrown it. The people, the patterns, the pain, they've all served their purpose. Now the divine is clearing the stage for your next act. This is not the end. This is the moment before your revelation. The quiet inhale before the world exhales your name in awe. But before the crown comes the storm. The final test is always the heaviest because it's meant to confirm what you've already become. That's why lately it feels like life is pressing on every side, not to destroy you, but to prove that you can't be broken anymore. The universe doesn't test weakness, it tests strength. It doesn't question your potential, it refines it. You may feel like you're losing everything again, but you're not. You're being asked to trust again, to surrender again, to walk by faith, not sight, one more time. Because you're stepping into realms you've never walked before, and the version of you that survived the old storms isn't equipped to rule the new kingdom. You can't carry old fears into divine futures. You can't carry old attachments into sacred alignments. So life is stripping away the final fragments of who you were, forcing you to embrace the unfamiliar weight of who you are becoming. It's not easy, this part. The waiting, the uncertainty, the quiet warfare inside your mind. Some days you'll wake up inspired. Others, you'll wonder if it's all worth it. You'll question your path, your timing, even your purpose. But understand this. Doubt is not a sign of weakness. It's proof that you're expanding beyond what your old self could understand. Every time your faith trembles, your soul grows stronger roots. Every time your patience is tested, your power deepens. You are being anchored now, grounded in lessons that will sustain you when the spotlight finds you. Because the truth is, the higher you rise, the more storms you'll face. Not because you're cursed, but because light always attracts both followers and shadows. And you, chosen one, were born to stand in that duality, radiant enough to inspire, grounded enough to withstand. You've already seen how quickly people change when you start to rise. Some will clap for you in public, but curse you in private. Some will smile in your face, but pray for your downfall in silence. That's the price of elevation, exposure. When light shines, it reveals everything, even what was pretending to be loyal in the dark. Don't let it break you. Don't waste your energy fighting rumors, defending yourself, or trying to prove your purity. The truth will defend itself in time. Let your success be your statement. Let your peace be your power. You are not here to convince anyone. You are here to become undeniable. The same mouths that gossiped will one day quote your wisdom. The same hands that pointed fingers will soon applaud your achievements. That's divine balance, not revenge, but revelation. And as you continue to rise, you'll notice that life becomes quieter again. Not because there's less happening, but because you've learned to hear differently. The noise no longer moves you. You've become immune to chaos. You don't chase validation anymore because your worth no longer negotiates with opinions. You've reached that sacred space where your peace costs too much to bargain. That's the true mark of elevation, when you no longer need to announce it, when your presence alone shifts the atmosphere, when your aura speaks louder than your words ever could. You don't explain yourself anymore because you've realized that understanding isn't owed, it's earned. And most people don't listen to understand, they listen to reply. But you've moved past that level. You no longer fight for the last word, you live for the last laugh. And even that laugh is silent, internal, spiritual. Because you know now that no weapon formed against you can prosper if it's forged in ignorance. You've learned that destiny doesn't rush. It arrives precisely when you've become the person capable of carrying it. That's why life delayed your breakthrough. It was waiting for you to stop shrinking. You had to learn how to stop begging for blessings you were born to command. You had to learn that faith isn't begging the universe to change. It's becoming the vibration that attracts change naturally. Now you're beginning to feel that shift. You're walking differently, slower, steadier, more intentional. You speak less, but mean more. You feel everything more deeply, yet you carry it lightly. That's wisdom, not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. You've become your own sanctuary, your own source of peace. You've built an inner temple that no chaos can desecrate. That's the power of solitude. It makes you sovereign. And soon, you'll begin to notice the synchronicities, signs, numbers, encounters that feel divinely timed. The people who enter your life will carry purpose, not confusion. The opportunities that come your way will feel aligned, not forced. You'll realize that you don't have to chase anymore. You only need to flow. The universe will begin to conspire in your favor because you finally understand its language. You've stopped saying, "Why me?" and started saying, "Thank you." You've stopped asking, "When?" and started trusting, "Whenever." You've learned that surrender is not giving up. It's giving in to something higher. It's handing the wheel to destiny and realizing that control was never the goal. Alignment was. You've entered that state of grace now, where everything that once drained you now fuels you. The pain that once silenced you now speaks through you. The lessons that once hurt you now heal others through your words. Your story isn't just yours anymore, it's medicine. Your scars are sermons written in the ink of endurance. Every struggle you've survived is now a seed of strength that someone else will eat from. That's why you had to go through what you went through, because one day someone will need your story to believe in their own survival. You'll look back at everything that tried to destroy you and realize it actually designed you. The storms that once terrified you became your teachers. The loneliness that once crushed you became your cocoon. The endings that broke your heart were actually the beginnings of your freedom. Everything that once made you question your worth was actually preparing you to embody it fully. You were never being punished. You were being perfected. You were never being buried. You were being planted. And now you've started to bloom. Not loudly, but powerfully. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. The glow is visible. The aura is different. Your energy has become a mirror that reflects truth back to everyone who crosses your path. Some will be inspired by it. Others will be threatened by it. But either way, they'll feel it. Because divine energy can't be ignored. It doesn't compete. It commands. It doesn't force. It flows. You've become that energy now. You are no longer reacting to life. Life is responding to you. You've shifted from survival to creation, from fear to faith, from pain to purpose. And that's what the storm was meant to teach you, that your power was never in control. It was in surrender. So if you're still in that storm right now, if you're still walking through uncertainty and can't see the light yet, remember this. The storm doesn't mean it's over. It means the crown is near. You're being refined one last time before you're revealed. This pressure you feel isn't punishment. It's proof of your potential. Diamonds aren't made in peace. They're made under pressure. Gold isn't found shining. It's found buried. And you, chosen one, are both. You are gold and diamond, divine and dangerous, soft and strong. You were built for this. You were created for moments that demand more than comfort, moments that require courage. So keep walking, even if it's slow. Keep believing, even if your faith trembles, because the storm will end, and when it does, you won't just survive, you'll reign. There comes a moment, subtle and sacred, when the storm finally begins to fade, not because it was conquered, but because you've outgrown its purpose. The same winds that once threatened to destroy you now feel like whispers, guiding your path forward. The same darkness that once suffocated you now serves as a contrast to your light. And for the first time in a long time, you can breathe without flinching. You no longer look over your shoulder for betrayal or disappointment. You no longer brace yourself for loss. You've made peace with both the shadow and the flame, and now you walk through the world, not as someone searching for meaning, but as someone who is meaning. The battle within has quieted, not because you've escaped it, but because you've mastered it. You've learned that peace isn't the absence of chaos, it's the art of standing in chaos and remaining unshaken. Now the world begins to move differently around you. Opportunities that once hid from you begin to find you effortlessly. People who once dismissed you now speak your name with respect they can't quite explain. You've become magnetic, not because you changed for the world, but because you aligned with your own frequency. The universe responds to authenticity, and you, at last, have remembered yours. You're not the same person who once begged for doors to open. Now, you build doors. You don't knock, you create. The energy that once drained you has transformed into the very force that fuels you. Every wound that once made you question your worth now glows like a map of wisdom across your soul. You carry history in your eyes, heaven in your silence, and fire in your words. You've become a walking manifestation of what it means to heal, to rebuild, to reclaim. But with that evolution comes responsibility. The crown you now carry isn't made of gold. It's made of awareness. It's heavy, not because of ego, but because of truth. To be chosen is to carry light where others carry excuses. It's to remain compassionate when the world chooses cruelty. It's to forgive when every part of you wants revenge. You've learned that leadership isn't about control. It's about example. The true chosen ones don't demand loyalty. They inspire it. They don't chase crowds. They cultivate impact. They understand that greatness isn't loud. It's consistent. And that's what you've become. Consistent, unshakable, grounded in purpose. The applause doesn't move you anymore because you've learned to listen for alignment, not attention. You don't need validation when you're living in vibration. And now, your presence begins to shift the world around you. You enter rooms differently. Your silence commands attention because people can feel the weight of everything you've endured without you saying a word. They sense that you've walked through pain they can't imagine and still chose love. That's power, to carry softness after suffering, to remain open after betrayal, to continue believing in goodness after you've seen how dark the world can be. You are no longer the person trying to heal. You are the healer now. Your energy calms storms in others. Your words carry medicine. Your smile disarms pain. You are no longer chasing miracles. You are one. And though most won't understand it, That's okay. You didn't come here to be understood. You came here to awaken, to remind humanity that resilience isn't loud, that survival isn't glamorous, and that true transformation is invisible until it's undeniable. As you move deeper into your purpose, you'll notice something beautiful. Life stops feeling like a fight and starts feeling like a flow. You wake up without the old heaviness. You no longer need to prove yourself to anyone because you've proven everything to yourself. You no longer seek closure because you've accepted that some doors never close. They simply stop mattering. You no longer crave revenge because peace has become your favorite form of victory. You've stepped beyond the ego's illusions into the spirit's clarity. You've become whole, not perfect, whole in your humanity, whole in your imperfection, whole in your light. And that wholeness is what draws abundance to you now, not because you chase it, but because you embody it. The universe doesn't give to the desperate, it gives to the deserving. And you, finally, know you are worthy. Your vision is clearer now. You understand that everything that happened, the heartbreaks, the betrayals, the nights you thought you wouldn't survive, they weren't random. They were rehearsal. You were being trained in silence for stages that are now being built with your name on them. You were being tested in obscurity so that when recognition arrives, you won't crumble under its weight. You were being taught how to lead without losing yourself. The divine was never punishing you. It was protecting the masterpiece from premature exposure. You had to be hidden until your foundation was unbreakable, because what you're about to step into requires unshakable authenticity. The spotlight reveals cracks, but you've already been through the fire. You've already been melted and molded and reborn. There are no cracks left, only the shimmer of strength forged in solitude. And when the world finally sees you, not the version filtered through pain, but the one purified by purpose, they'll be speechless. They'll try to summarize your journey with words like lucky, blessed, or overnight success. But you'll smile because you'll know better. You'll know that nothing about your rise was sudden. Every silent breakdown, every invisible battle, every lonely night was a brick in your foundation. Every no was redirection. Every betrayal was a mirror, showing you what you no longer needed. You'll stand there, calm, radiant, unbothered, not because life got easier, but because you got wiser. You learned how to move with grace in a world that profits from chaos. You learned how to carry light in a world addicted to darkness. And that, chosen one, is the highest form of mastery. Not control over others, but sovereignty over yourself. From this point on, your story shifts from survival to service. The divine doesn't elevate the chosen just to bless them. It elevates them to bless others. You'll start to see doors opening, not just for you, but through you. Your success will become a pathway for others to find their faith again. Your healing will give others permission to begin theirs. Your resilience will awaken those who have forgotten their strength. That's what legacy truly means. Not being remembered for what you had, but for what you gave. And you'll give endlessly now, not because you owe anyone, but because love overflows from you. You'll give peace without losing yours. You'll give wisdom without seeking credit. You'll give forgiveness because you finally understand it's not a gift for them. It's freedom for you. You are no longer chasing destiny. You are living it. You walk with quiet confidence now, unbothered by noise, unmoved by comparison. You understand that every soul has its own clock and that yours is finally striking divine timing. Everything that once felt delayed now feels perfectly placed. The universe is no longer testing your patience. It's rewarding your endurance. The cycle has completed. The storm has served its purpose. The seed has become the tree. And you, the one they underestimated, have become the living proof that purpose cannot be buried forever. You've learned to let go with grace, to rise without revenge, to love without fear. That's the highest form of freedom. To walk through life with open hands, ready to receive, but never desperate to grasp. And so, as you stand now on the edge of a new beginning, you'll realize something profound. You were never meant to return to who you were before the pain, because that version wasn't equipped for the promise. The old you would have crumbled under the weight of what's coming. The new you carries peace like armor. You've earned this stillness, this wisdom, this strength. You've earned the right to move slowly, to choose carefully, to love deeply. You've earned the right to rest without guilt and shine without fear. You've earned the right to speak your truth without trembling. You've earned your crown, not the kind that glitters, but the kind that glows, not the kind that demands recognition, but the kind that commands respect. And as the dawn finally breaks, that sacred golden moment when the first light touches your face, you'll understand that you never lost anything. You were only becoming everything you were always meant to be. This is the ascension, not loud, not explosive, just inevitable. The quiet fulfillment of a prophecy whispered in your spirit long ago. The unfolding of destiny that was never in question, only in preparation. You've walked through fire, and now you walk in grace. You've known despair, and now you carry divine peace. You've been broken, and now you build. You've been forgotten, and now you lead. This is not the end of your story. It's the awakening of the one you were born to tell. So walk with reverence, chosen one, because every step you take now is sacred. The world may not understand how you did it, but heaven always knew. You were never fighting for victory. You were walking toward it. And now, finally, it's here. The light has returned. The storm has passed. The crown fits. You have become what pain tried to prevent. You have become what destiny always promised. You have become the dawn.